This is for Ireland. I forgot completely what I was going to say. I got very motivated, but I constantly had people screwing up my brain. Very, very, very tormenting. Um, it's for Ireland, you know. God told me to do very little, one or two things, and one of them was to teach my country. I'd started this mission when I started trying to write. I was writing aphorisms to make Irish people very intelligent and very franchised and very globally validated very quickly and effectively, and utilizing their pride kind of to make them want to be better. They worked too well, basically. These writings got into the hands of a horrible, dirty Republican Sinn Féin mafia. It was very potent and effective, and it had a great effect. They became actually very powerful and stuff from receiving the word and appreciating or respecting me to some sort of degree for a while. And they all got lobbied and abducted, or not abducted, worked with by horrible people from around the world, Rose World and occultists and elitists and politicians and stuff. And they just buggered me over, left Joseph down the well, and ran off with these merchants. What the things they've been doing in the temple are absolutely horrible. So they're tempted by things and they think it's a process, but they're being tempted one by one. Have you ever seen like Indiana Jones or any of these things? You're always presented with some beautiful woman. If you read Revelation, you know what I mean? Revelations of Christ Jesus. You'd be presented like with his wife or something. Jesus wasn't presented with John's wife or anything or his family because Jesus was celibate, completely no interest in women. So they're tempted with these things one after another, and they just love it. You know what I mean? They're conceding to it. They're like, yeah, more wife. Yeah, addicted to fornicating. Yeah, fortune. Yeah, want his money. Yeah, and very happily it's given to them. You know what I mean? It's all dust. You know what I mean? It's all sand and dust, and it's all illusion. But they're being revealed. Like it's all about revelation. This world anyway is all about revelation, honest revelation, and some poetry to learn while you're here. What I want to say to you, Ireland, is the things that you've been doing in the temple. 6 million Jews got, I'm not sure how to respectfully say this, not massacred, annihilated is a word I'm looking for, very cerebral. It was not pleasing to the Lord, so it wasn't a Holocaust. I wish people would stop calling it that. It was sarcasm that they called it that, and it's not what a Holocaust is. Holocaust is a celebration. You kill the fattest pig to celebrate some wonderful thing. You make a personal sacrifice for some sort of reason. It's hopefully religious and pleasing to God or the Lord. Nothing about that was pleasing to the Lord. That's why they were impossible to kill, most of them. They tried to kill them and the Germans realised that. It's how we're having trouble killing the Israelites. And it's like, no shit, Sherlock. And they wouldn't die. The guns just wouldn't work and stuff, and people just wouldn't die. And it became slowly true to them. What was pleasing to the Lord was their preservation. Not that. Anyway, what I'm saying, excuse me, is 6 million people got murdered. Not slaughtered, annihilated. Anyway, very coldly killed for doing a lot less than what you are doing in Donegal or in Wexford at the moment, or in Spain, or Norway, or wherever you are in Belgium. But particularly I'm talking to Ireland. So what you are engaging in, fornicating with the wife of lambs and lambs before lambs, and failing, and basically constantly and utterly being revealed and failing, and then for some reason competing to fail. Even they queue up and they compete. They just it's clever devil. You know what I mean? But working the coward. So they got killed for a lot less. You kind of seen Schindler's List, that basically what the Jews were doing was maybe and no, they were merchants, so they were definitely not fornicating. Ancient Jews might have been, all the way up to like Ahab and Jezebel, maybe, were fornicating and tricked into stuff, maybe so, maybe not. But not after Jesus. These Jews know very well about fornicating, and they're not going to be doing that. Not a chance. Any real Jewish person knows. They let you have revelations. They know better. What they were doing was business and stuff, not even business. Like I was thinking back in Jesus' time, like the merchants were just saying, oh, we need grain in Galilee, we need something here, and they were kind of using it as a communicative device to the temple, where it's not. Post offices, you look at the town, you have a post office for communication, you have a pub for doing the pub stuff, winding up your neighbour's wife, drinking, having a laugh, smoking, gossip. You have separate buildings for separate reasons. Even a courthouse is there if you want to do that. You keep this out of the courthouse. It's not supposed to be in the courthouse. This is all in the temple. So we have separate buildings for you to understand these kind of things. But anyway, they got killed for basically like you see in Schindler's List. How's the wife there, Murray? Don't talk to me about the wife. And it's like, hey, I got those binders so we can put your kids' theses together. Great, come by the house there on Tuesday and we'll work it out. they making arrangements in the temple, idle talk in the temple. This is what like Hitler had, like as a poet analogy, had a little like magnifying glass kind of thing, and he was scanning and looking at them all, and they could see all their iniquities and things, and was very cold and cerebral and very analytic. So they would see things like not fornicated, like took knowledge from the temple, hearsays, or made arrangements in the temple, commerce in the temple, and they got put in gas chambers for doing these hardly anything, just mildly disrespect. You wouldn't, maybe in a church, that's where you see them in Schindler's List. They're in a church and they're just talking. It's nothing bad. You don't even notice what's happening in the scene here. They're just talking in the back of church. Church hasn't really started. There's nothing really going on, and they're just talking in church. It's a poetical analogy, basically. It wasn't even in the hour, basically, of a churchy hour. And that's the funny little scene that's in that, because that's why they got 6 million people got coldly, and that's what the word is, coldly annihilated or executed, murdered. Have to really focus on that. They got put in gas chambers and they were murdered. Now, you are doing the worst possible things you can physically do in the temple, because they're the worst things. You're being revealed. Like, if I wasn't tempted at all, like they kept saying, like, he doesn't see these things, and it's like, yeah, well, I'm clearly not tempted by the presentations of them, because I'm beyond them. I was beyond money, power, women, and everything. I had no interest in it. I was very well prepared. And you're meant to be well prepared, like a Mason is well prepared for these kind of things. And these people are not well prepared. Like, these are the worst possible people to be involved in the situation. Gardaí are involved in the situation, and they're going to use for information and racketeering easily. Gardaí are already doing this and making mistakes with it, taking fruit of knowledge from the temple. Like, you really don't know what you're playing with here. And fornicating with wives of lambs, wives of neighbours, stealing names, orreries. This is kidnap. These are all the things that Decalogue is filled with, to tell you how to survive and not to do these things. And these are making every mistake in the book. Paddy, last. You really need a specialist on this occasion, don't you? Mihal or Higgins. If you need a specialist on the economy, you go and get a specialist on the economy. If you need a specialist on whatever, you go and get the specialist from your country and you ask them to cooperate with you. I don't know why I need to beg to you to No. John knew the game. John knew the field. John knew all the players. John knew what we were dealing with. We had no idea. We were up to our eyes in it. As Eamon Dunphy in the future, But John knew all the things we were and weren't supposed to do, and he knew the battlefield of it always. He knew the layout. We had no idea what we were doing. John Delaney. Anyway, I don't know how much I need to prove myself, especially write essays to Higgins, talking about this. I don't know. See, when I write to them, they just get the opportunity of learning the stuff inside and getting connected and receiving my word, and then they just also get Miley Cyrus or a little sheet apple on their shoulders telling them, oh, you need to lie on the ground like a snake and stare at stuff, and compare to his wife and lust after his wife or his friends or his family. Every mistake in the book. And then everybody that comes out to do the same thing does the same thing. So if Higgins does listen to me, he might send out some detective or someone to investigate the situation, and they'll come out and have a look at me, and also the same thing will happen to them, and they'll think they're involved in some wonderful thing, and they all go off and start gaining their fortunes by wanking all day. That it would sustain you, yeah. So, yeah, you need to get an expert on the occasion. If I'm so humble and merciful to even work with your Paddy at this stage. 8 years, They had Joseph out of the well in 7. Potiphar had him out of the well in 7 years. Which is when you needed the last, the last... You're in your 8 or 9 now. I've stopped counting after 7. But, trumpets and bowls, baby. And you still won't hearken unto the Lord. There is a Lord. Like the gangsters in the movies realise this. They're like, there must be a Lord. Everyone's dying at the same time. It must be a Lord. A made man had done. And it was Michael. Of course, Michael. I'm saying it under Michael. I remember hearing about that. It's obviously been stolen. Most things it means who else but God. So he's obviously a very humble person, the Lord. Who else, Michael? So, yeah, Paddy, yous are doing absolutely terrible things. Like, if Islam appreciated the situation, I'd have loads of brothers over here chopping your arms and chopping your heads off under Syrian law. Don't want it to have to come to that. Beyond that, even. Yeah, so they need to stop anyway. Or someone needs to come over and chop off their hands and heads. Because it affects waters, food, stars. You wouldn't know the damage in the stars because they're all the furthest stars from here. But by the time the damage that they've done catches up with the Earth, you know, you can't return it, replace it, it's rippled out. And you don't know the destruction you're sowing at a very far distance from now. And that'll affect you in years to come. Reap in me what you sow, and sow in me what you reap for all. Yep, buddy, that's why it was supposed to be Mrs. Ireland. Oblivious. You're more franchise now, you're a little more valid now. And you've been revealed.